No one therapy or medicine is going to cure every illness or disease. Healing really must be a comprehensive and accountable for the physical, emotional, and spiritual parts of our lives. This was the case on our guest today, who dedicated his life journey to healing trauma and sharing his methods with others. He's a breathwork teacher, a healer, a nutritionist, and he specializes in helping people move toward wholeness. This is the story of dimensional breathwork with Andrew Genovese. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on.
Kaspar, what's up, brother? So good to be here. Excited to dive in with you.
You reached out to me, and this is the part I love about Instagram. You connect with people, and I remember you reached out to me and you wrote, "I'm finally coming back to civilization." I'm actually reading this and back to work after what was the most profound week of my life. I want to start there, because when someone tells me it was the most profound week of my life, I say, tell me more about this, because profound weeks and epiphanies and transformational things is such a powerful tool and something we need to share with others that may need it as well. So can you go into that week that transformed you?
Yeah, I'm still literally like integrating pieces of me that died on that mountain, and all the ways that I've evolved and changed in the last like 5 weeks. It's just made such a huge impact on my life in so many different, in every single arena of my life. And so, yeah, about 2 months ago, I started receiving a lot of just messages that I was being guided into the wilderness. And so I knew what that meant. I was like, okay, I'm being called to do a fast in the woods. And I didn't know, I just kind of continued to be patient and wait for where I was meant to go, how long I was meant to go for. I don't really know the wilderness, the forest up here that well. So I was really kind of just continued to communicate with my guides. Like, okay, I don't really know what this looks like. Just direct me, show me, guide me, tell me. I'm open to receiving the information of what this journey is meant to look like. So we got into mid-September, and I'm thinking, okay, like, all right, team, I kind of need the guidance here. It's going to start getting cold here, like now. And so I knew if it didn't happen soon, that it wasn't going to be able to happen, because obviously up here in the Pacific Northwest, it starts to get really cold in October. So here we are, October 1st, October 2nd, and I still don't know where I'm going. And I feel, kind of deflated and defeated. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm not going to be doing it this year. This doesn't make sense. I was receiving so many hits that I was meant to do this. And then came October 2nd, I believe. And all of a sudden, this 1 week of absolute nothing. I had no sessions. I wasn't speaking on any summits. I wasn't holding any ceremonies. It was just like a week where I had nothing organized. It was like Source opened up this week for me. I knew when I saw that week with 7 days with nothing planned, I was like, okay, this is when I'm supposed to go. So after I knew that I was going, I definitely had some resistance, because I was like, I could be facing some pretty intense weather conditions possibly. And so I was like, so then I checked the weather, and I was like, wow, there's literally a perfect week of weather for me opened up in mid-October, the Pacific Northwest, which mind you, almost never happens. Yeah. Like all sun for a week in mid-October. Generally during this time, it's starting to get pretty wet and raining a lot. And so I was like, wow, this is incredibly divine. So I basically had a friend. I asked a friend who's lived here his whole life. And I said, brother, I don't know where I'm meant to go. I still haven't received the guidance, and I need you to drop me off in the wilderness where you think is a good spot. He's like, oh, I totally got you. My nephew has traveled all over these mountains, all over this entire state, and I got 2 or 3 perfect places for you. So I was really in like a very deep state of trust and surrender that I was being taken out to the right spot. So here it was, 10/10, October 10th, and he's driving me up into the mountains. As we're driving up there, I'm starting to feel some anxiety and nervousness, because I like know in my soul how deep it was going to be. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling some anxiety, feeling some tension in my body. This is okay. Let me just breathe into that. And so I remember when he dropped me off, when I put my pack on my back and gave him a hug, and he was like, brother, are you sure you don't want me to check on you sometime in the week, or do you want me to, leave some food? I was like, no, don't check on me. Don't leave me food. I literally just want you to drop me off, and I want you to be here in 7 days from now at 11 a.m. That's it. That's all I want from you. And he's like, all right, brother. I could tell he was like kind of like nervous for me. And so, yeah, I started trekking up into the mountains, not knowing where I was going to go or where I was going to end up. Again, full trust, full faith, just surrender that I was going to be guided to the right spot. And as I started walking into the wilderness, I'm, about a mile and a half in, and I'm continuing to just breathe and asking my guides to, guide me to the spot where I'm supposed to be. And so I ducked into a couple of little mountain ridges here to the left, to the right, another one. And I was like, okay, I'd gone into like 5 different spots and none of them felt right for me. And then I saw this path. And for some reason, I was like, I don't know where this leads, but I know this is where I'm supposed to go. Like I just knew it. So I hiked up about 15 minutes and there was this little ridge. It was like a little plateau almost made for a rites of passage journey. Had a 360 view of cascading mountains for miles and miles and miles. Unbelievably profound view of Mount Rainier. And so I felt just like relieved that I found my spot, put down my bag, started setting up camp, set up my ceremony altar, all my things. And when I got done setting up shop, I kind of just took a moment to really like sink into the now moment and just look around. And I was just like, wow, I'm up here surviving on this mountain for the next 7 days. So I started journaling and I started just getting really clear with my intentions and just kind of just getting really clear on why I was there and what I was there to do. And the main intention was really just being open to feel anything that came through me, any angers, any frustrations, any deep child wounds of living a household that was very chaotic and being screamed at my whole life for many years, mother, father, anything that had to do with me not stepping into my full authenticity and my full power. I was ready to just feel it all and release it and let it go and really just come back home to my body and be this alchemist that, I say I am, right? Like I looked at it as an opportunity to practice, to practice my own self-mastery, right? As a breathwork facilitator, as an alchemist, and teaching people how to connect with the breath and the body, and knowing that their body is literally the tool, the conduit that we evolve and that we learn and we unlearn and we grow from. So when I got up there day one, I was just, I kind of just couldn't believe I was up there and that I was doing it. And I just felt so grateful for the opportunity. So that was day one. Day two, I hiked down the mountain about 2 miles to fill up my 2.5 gallon water. And I get down to the lake. I didn't take a trail because I didn't want to see anyone. So I hiked down straight through the wilderness, down boulders, and I was like jumping down cliff edges. And I was like, all right, I really got to be careful here to make sure like I don't hurt myself. Mm-hmm. And so when I finally reached the lake, I unscrewed my 2.5 gallon jug, the top, and then I reached my left hand down to my pocket. And I just went, oh shit, my life straw is gone. And the literally one way I was going to get clean water was literally had just disappeared. Yeah. And my heart sunk. And I was like, I was in that moment, I just had panic run through my body because I was like, how am I going to drink water? Yeah. And so luckily, as I started trekking back up to camp, I realized that my buddy Brent convinced me to take this tiny little Tibetan singing bowl. And I was like, oh my God, I can boil water in the Tibetan singing bowl. And so that saved my ass. And And in that moment, I really had to like surrender into like, why is this happening? Why would I lose my life straw? Which is pretty much the one thing I genuinely needed going on this journey. And then I realized, okay, I have 7 bottles of ASEA. ASEA is ASEA. I was guided by the higher realms to bring 7 bottles of ASEA, which is redox molecules for the listeners who don't know. Essentially, it's putting all 60 trillion of your cells on hyper healing capacity. In every cell, there's a mitochondria. So it's basically enhancing that mitochondria to work at a max capacity of detox, cleansing, clarity, getting rid of pesticides in the body, fixing hormones, repairing the gut. So I knew that I was being guided to take the SIA to really basically intensify my journey of just complete cellular cleanse. Because I think cellular health isn't talked about nearly enough in the health space, right? Our body is made of 60 trillion cells. So if all 60 trillion of your cells are more light or more healthy, then you're able to receive new levels of consciousness and new wisdom, and new parts of yourself open up when your body is a clean vessel. Obviously, anyone listening to this podcast knows how important it is to take care of your vessel. So here we are, day 2, and I'm getting up to the mountain. I'm boiling my water. Day 2, I'm really sinking into my journey and just really just continuing to come back to the present moment. And that's really what my journey was. It was a continuation of anytime I felt anxiety, or that I was supposed to be somewhere else, or that I was supposed to be doing something, right? This program of, in order to be a productive member of society, I need to be achieving, I need to be saving, I need to be doing. So it was a continuous undoing of any programming that had to do with I needed to be doing, to really just being, just being a human being, which is actually, right, we're not a human doing, we're a human being. So it was a continuation of just feeling that aliveness in my body of whatever was present for me, which was ebbing and flowing continuously into bliss, into gratitude. And then an hour later, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing up here? I was like, is this a mistake? On the first and second night, I was in weather of like 27, 28 degrees, and ripping winds. It was really cold. It was no joke. And I had woken up to rain in my tent after the first night. So I was like, okay, I really had to surrender into that. I wasn't going to receive really harsh conditions the whole time I was there. And so, day 2 came. I was, moving through the breath. I was moving through emotions. I was doing sun gazing every day. Every day I was just sitting out on this rock, just naked, just receiving the negative ions of Mother Earth. All day long, right? You're disconnected from your phone. You're disconnected from your laptop, emails, anyone to talk to. So there's something so primal about that, I felt. And what I started feeling as I started moving into day 3, day 4, I started just realizing like, wow, every single man on earth needs to be doing this.
And you're fasting at this time, correct?
Yeah. I have zero food. I didn't bring any food up. I literally just have water, the water that I was boiling in my tiny little Tibetan bowl, and 7 bottles of ASEA. So I was only drinking liquid the entire time. So as I was up there, let's see, we're at day 4. And so I'm really like sinking into my journey. Day 4 was the day I really started to kind of go through some pretty deep purging of emotions. And just my bowels, I was just cleaning out everything from the ASEA, because right, I had nothing working through my body. What takes a lot of energy, right? Digestion. So particularly for a man's body, I just think fasting is such an incredible tool, right? Because what do we do when we're bored? We go to the refrigerator, we go for a snack. In between work, we're like, all right, let me just break things up. Let me go eat. when we give ourselves permission to not eat any food, there's no energy going into digesting your food and moving that food through your body. So never mind, you take all technology, people, and everything, and just come to the mountain to just be in nature. I mean, just the vibration of nature is so healing alone. So I was just I could feel how much I was transforming day to day. And because I'm a storyteller, I was like, I had to kind of continue to come back to the now moment and be like, okay, don't worry about the story. You're just here. You're just right here, going continuously every moment, just coming back to the breath. As I was doing my sun gazing every morning and every evening, I would take 144 breaths. That's what they told me to do. I would take 144 breaths. And when I was doing this, I can't explain it in the English language, but with no food and being on this mountain at 8,000 feet elevation, exposed to the elements, sitting naked on this mountain, I could literally feel the rays of the sun entering my body, like in a way that I can't describe it. It was the most multidimensional I've ever felt in my life. And it was the most like quantum I've ever felt in my life, right? Like we all know, or we're learning, that we're spiritual beings having this human experience, right? It's not the other way around. We're actually spiritual beings having human experience. We're multidimensional. We're multifaceted. We could have entered a body as a lion, could have entered a body in many different extraterrestrial bodies, right? We're multidimensional beings. So it allowed me to feel my multidimensionality, giving me that time and that space to be so disconnected from everything else and just my life and my partner and my work, to take that time to take so many consecutive days to feel into my body and to breathe and to come into the now moment. Every time when I reached 11 breaths, I remember it was 11 breaths, 33 breaths, and 88 breaths, 111 breaths, and 144 breaths. As I would reach that breath, my whole body would just go into just convulsions for like minutes. As a breathwork instructor and a breathwork facilitator, I know that convulsing, the body contracting, muscle spasms, that's one of the many ways that the body receives new consciousness, as well as is releasing old density. So in this time, I was just like, it was like an onion. I was like ripping off like layer after layer. It wasn't like, layer here, layer here. But just my healing was at like lightning speed, and I was like hyper aware of how much I was shedding from just like an hour to hour basis. So once we reached day 4 and especially day 5, oh my God, I was dying up on the mountain like 3 times a day. I was moving through so much tension and anger and frustration, sadness, grief. I remember day 5, I felt just so much. Oh man, that was really heavy. I felt just so much sadness for all the angry parents that felt so trapped with their children. I felt so much anger for the animal kingdom. I felt so much anger and frustration for the planet, like the consciousness of the planet, of how much just filth and plastic and garbage we've dumped onto her, taking the oil, continuing just like taking this, this program of like taking from the planet, right? This like runs in our DNA of thousands and thousands of years. So I was feeling even beyond my own wounds and beyond my own trauma. It was like universal and planetary. And I remember on day 5, I was about 45 minutes into my breathwork journey, and I just had this roar come out of me, 2 of them that I probably would have been heard from like 10 mountain ranges away. Like this just primal, it was like a reclamation of our planet's sovereignty and my sovereignty. But it was like a roar for like the masculine stepping up for the feminine to be like leaders and be like true warriors of the light. because we've lived on a planet where, right? This is probably triggering for some people that are going to be listening. We've lived on a planet where rape and molestation and taking has been a normal part of our society. And we as the masculine are here to create that safe space once again for the feminine to, bring life to earth. We the masculine are here for that role, to create a safe space. And so one of the biggest things I felt on day 6 and day 7 was just this. It was like this surge of masculine energy, this primality of returning back to myself and returning back to nature that I had never felt in my life. And I knew on day 6, and what they told me was that, every man on the planet that's awakening or conscious at some point in their life needs to do a journey like this. We have millions of essentially man babies walking around and not real men that are truly connected to their masculine essence and this true primal energy of really being able to, hold space for their partner, because the masculine is the rock. It's the boulder. We, the masculine, we're an unshakable boulder. And if we're in union with the feminine, right, the feminine is messy. She's all over the place. She's the ocean. And we're here to create that safe space for the feminine on a planetary scale. And as we do that, right, we will rise as a collective consciousness. And that was just one thing that was so prevalent for me, was just, wow, I am here to share this medicine with humanity, to inspire men to get away from their children, their family, their lives, their laptop, their desk, and just return to nature and return to their breath and return to the now moment and the discomfort, right? Kaspar, something we talked about before we jumped on together. We're so used to being comfortable. When we give ourselves that full permission, especially that length of time of the complete unknown, the surrendering to the unknown, that's where the magic happens. That's where the growth and the evolution happens. And I experienced it. I lived it. I saw it, what it did to me when I came off that mountain. And so, yeah, I'm so excited for men to receive that medicine as well and be inspired to do the same. Just leave it all and just return back to nature and return back home to their body and their breath.
Andrew, it sounds like a truly transformational experience, as you said, and it is something I agree with you 100% that I feel more people need to do, whether or not it's particular like you did in that, area of the world. I think everyone's a little different. Maybe some are trekking through the mountains themselves alone, or going somewhere like a desert maybe calls to you. It could be different areas as long as it's in nature. But I have to say this, a lot of people would probably hear this and say, that's crazy. Why would I do that? Why would I go out and risk something that sounds like, pure, I have a family, right? Why would I risk going in and possibly dying in there? And what if the storm was worse? What if you tripped? What if, all the what ifs that are there? Because again, we're used to comfort. We're used to, I go home in a safe place with an alarm, in a nice bed, with heating, with AC, with everything I need, with, TV on in the background to keep me, satisfied and put me to bed. Why do you think so many people object to this idea of doing something like you said, taking a week off? Because again, I get it. I know you get, but the majority, I would say, that would not at all entice them, and they would actually look at you strangely after telling the story.
Yeah, when most people hear 7-day fast in the mountains and not in a group but alone, they're like, whoa, that's really intense. What made you do that? And obviously, it came from the higher realms. I knew that I was just meant to do it. So I showed up, I feel as global leaders, we're here to inspire and hold the torch for others to do the same. And as a leader of the new earth, as many thousands that walk the earth, as one of them, I know that I'm here to inspire others to have courage, right? If there's ever a time to practice courage, it's right now. Right now is the time to practice courage of going into this discomfort and breaking free from, oh my gosh, I can't live on a homestead. I can't live on 20, 30 acres because I need that convenience. I need to be able to order stuff on Amazon when I need it. I need someone to respond to that text from me right away. I need the instant gratification, right? We live in a society where we need instant. And if we don't get it instantly, it's like, it's not enough. When we, thousands of years ago, when we lived amongst the land in ancient civilizations in ancient Tibet and ancient India, right? They lived amongst each other, right? The 5-year-olds hung out with the 70-year-olds. The 30-year-olds hung out with the 90-year-olds. The 2-year-olds hung out with the 40-year-olds. Everyone was together.
Yeah.
And they evolved and they lived against the land. They lived against the elements. They gathered water, right? Everything was so much more primal and connected to the land. And they were in those healing frequencies of nature, right? They were constantly putting their hands in the soil. They were constantly grabbing wood when they were, gathering wood. There was this constant, everything that we do in our life, between you and I right now, we're having an energetic exchange, an exchange of energy. They were constantly exchanging energy with each other and nature and the land and the water, the fire, all of it. So that's what we've lost. We've lost that energetic exchange continuously with nature. And so when we take the time, and to everyone listening to this, it doesn't have to be 7 days. That's what I did. It can be 2 days. It can be 3 days or 4 days. It doesn't have to be that length. But even for men, and not just men, but women too. And, and this is just my own personal and professional opinion. I believe that because women have a womb, fasting is a bit different. I don't think fasting is for every woman. You have to tune into your own body to feel if that works for your specific body. But I just think men and women just need to go on these journeys and adventures and facilitated by someone. I wouldn't recommend going it alone. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did. That's what I was guided to do. But I would recommend finding someone who facilitates this and just give yourself permission to be uncomfortable, knowing that, wow, going into this journey, I might be confronted with all my shit. And that's a gift to me. That's an act of radical self-love, to give myself this opportunity to actually be an alchemist, to alchemize all this pain and this suffering. Because when we take the time for our family, we often think, oh man, it's selfish if I take time away from my children. It's selfish if I leave my wife. That's actually probably one of the most selfless things you can do, taking this time to away from our family and actually heal. Because when we hug our 3-year-old son, or when we hug our 5-year-old daughter, and we come back from a journey like that, no words need to be exchanged. Your 5-year-old daughter, she feels you. She feels every ounce of this new person that you're emanating, this liberation that you've just cultivated within. And she is healed because of your willingness, because of your courage to go into your own shadow and be free. Yeah. And be free in your soul and spirit. Like, what a gift you could give to yourself and to your family and to humanity.
Yeah. 2 things come up for me when you're talking and saying these things is, number one, you said constantly that you're guided, right? That you had this, and that's intuition, really. That's a heart-centered state. That is that energy exchange speaking with you on a deeper spiritual level. So many people have lost their intuition completely. And I think the use of constant technology, running in the rat race, stress, everything, toxins has completely cut off our intuition, where we need people to tell us what to do. I think the pandemic showed us we are completely easily manipulated, and if someone tells us what to do, even without any logic or reason, they could say it's logical, but really in your head, you should say, how is that logical? We went along with it. Many people did. So I think part of getting people to reclaim this idea of being one with nature and going into it as you did and experiencing this death and rebirth is to first reclaim your intuition that will guide you there in the first place. Because too many people are guided to their sofa and Netflix and not to nature. And inside, I think they're hurting, but still the intuition isn't quite loud enough for them to get them to go outside and do that. And number two is that this is not going to be pleasurable. As you said, and I've been there, man, I've slept in really cold tents that, and really bad conditions, 50-mile-per-hour winds in the desert where it's really cold and your breath is in there and you're getting sand and rain and everything. That is complete. And at times you're ready to break down. You're like, I just want a bed. But it's those times where you're ready to break down that you truly alchemize that transformation. Through that pain, as you said, you become better, stronger. And guess what? You got really, really appreciative of your life in the real world when you get back. A bed is suddenly not just a bed. Mattress is this gift that we should be so appreciative of, because some people don't have that at all in their lives. Running water is an amazing gift for us. So I've always said the reason I like traveling over vacationing to completely different things, normally when I travel, I get pushed in some way. I'm gritty. I'm not taking shower. I'm out in nature for periods of time, and it's not always enjoyable. But the outcome is that because I become a better person. I connect. I do more things, and I appreciate life so much more. When I vacation, yes, rest and restoration are nice, and going to places and sitting on a beach, totally understand that. But I'm not coming back really a transformed person, maybe just a rested person. So with those things in mind, and you're trying to now build this out as someone that guides others, not just guides yourself now with this. What are you like? What is your kind of pitch to people to do this? Is it the reclaiming of yourself? Is it for people, let's say, that are lost in the world? Is it for people that are trying to optimize? Like, who are you going after to go into the wilderness with you now and really do this? Who are you like really appealing to?
My hopes for people listening to a conversation like this is to understand that your emotions, such as anger, as rage, as sadness, of feeling depressed some days, of feeling not worthy, of some days being like, man, this journey in this lifetime is just so intense. Like, take me away. I'm ready to leave this planet and go transcend to another one. Right. It's the resistance to ebbing and flowing into the light and into the dark. It's the resistance to understanding that life isn't always going to be perfect. There's sometimes going to be parts of your business that you're like, oh, I plan to launch on December 10th. Guess what? It happened February 25th. So are you going to be pissed and angry about that? Or are you going to ebb and flow softly into it with surrender and trust and faith? Such a deep part of my work and holding psilocybin ceremonies and breath work is teaching people, whether they're in a feminine body, whether they're in a man's body or woman's body, is truly embodying in their life trust, faith, and surrender. Because in doing that, you're not just seeking, I just want the epic moments. I just want the beautiful moments where I'm at a festival and I have my people around me and I'm hugging them and I'm listening to the best music ever, right? It's finding the magic in the pain. It's finding the magic in the discomfort. It's finding the magic in the mundane moments of literally having a sponge in our hand and washing our dishes, right? If we can find the magic in the moments that are not maybe favorable or some things that we don't want to do, we are reaching deep levels of consciousness and embodiment. Because it's again, your ability to evolve and come into your own has so much to do with going, God, this has been a really hard week. And I'm going to surrender into the fact that I know since I'm having a hard week, there's something beautiful on the other side. I know something beautiful is coming for me, and it might be coming in days or in weeks, but whatever that looks like, I hand it over to God. I hand it over to source, and I give it over to the higher realms and know that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So in returning to nature, right, it teaches you to be an alchemist. It teaches you to come back to your breath. It teaches you to come back to the present moment, which is your power source as a divine creator. To be able to access that creation is in the now moment. And when you go to the nature like that, you don't have your phone. You don't have your laptop. You don't have your partner to communicate to when you want to talk about something. It's just you. And you sit with those thoughts and you breathe into them. And when I was up there, I was actually going, and I do this in my life, not just on the mountain, because I'm a breath facilitator and I'm an alchemist and I'm a master of the breath. I say, thank you, anger. Thank you, resentment. Thank you, shame. Thank you for guiding me back to my heart. But you don't serve me anymore and I let you go. So when you're doing that all day long throughout the 7 days, the person that was walking off that mountain on my seventh day, Kaspar, I had gone 7 days without food. And I want everyone to know only on day 5, day 6, and day 7 did I get hungry. Only on night 5, night 6, and night 7 did I get hungry. And it wasn't even extreme hunger. It was mild to medium. Because the ASEA is liquid life force. It's universal life force. And it had my body on hype on, I mean, I can't explain it in words. I was just on fire up there, like in every single way. As I was breathing in the sun, I could literally feel the activations taking place in my DNA. Like I could feel me, my own soul's wisdom coming forward online. Again, it's hard to even describe this journey in words because it was just so deep and so profound. And anyone who's had a really powerful medicine journey or a journey like this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just hard to, because the energies I felt, there aren't words in the English language to describe it. The multidimensionality and the energy I felt. And I also want everyone to know that I felt more bliss up there than I actually felt pain. Mm. Like there were moments that were very intense and I moved through some really deep stuff. But when I came out of that and I moved my body and I dropped into yoga and then I dropped into Shavasana for an hour, sometimes I would be in silence for 3 or 4 hours and just doing into the breath. Then I do go into yoga and then I would move all that energy through my hips, through my chest, through my body, and then into Shavasana. When I stood up and I opened my eyes, tears would start like, I'm going to start getting emotional now. Tears would start literally running down my face because I just felt so free, just free from the chains of not feeling worthy, of in my 20s, not knowing how to operate in this matrix society, not understanding why I had to work a job that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to do that. Well, all my friends are doing that. I'm not doing that. And it cultivated a freedom inside that I've never experienced before. So when I stepped off that mountain on night 7 and I was looking at the sun rising and realizing that, wow, I did it. I gave myself such a beautiful gift of this time of just returning back home to my body, because my body is my home. Your body is your home.
Yeah.
The most important place you can create a safe space is here. It's an inside job. Your safety, your power, your authenticity, it's not external. Like you touched on, Kaspar, right? We're constantly going outside. Someone tell me what to do. Someone tell me the science. Someone tell me what I need to know. No. This new era, this golden age, the age of Aquarius is all about coming back to your body and coming back home to your own intuition, into your own wisdom, into your own knowing. And this journey gave me that. Yeah. And I would just want other people to be inspired by my own journey to know that, right? Like I didn't just feel pain. I felt bliss beyond imagination. I felt so much peace. I felt so much gratitude. And when I walked off that mountain, I literally felt like a walking ancient light beam. Like my whole world was on fire. I I felt unstoppable. I felt just all kinds of new levels of creativity and projects that I wanted to do. And it was like I reinvented myself up there. I died up on that mountain so many times, and I was reborn in the flames over and over again. And I could not be more grateful for it. And so I would just want others to be inspired to really just lean into that discomfort when they hear something like this, and know that if you do feel some resistance in your body about, gosh, maybe I should do something like that, that's good. That's a good thing. Because in the resistance, if we can go into that resistance and lean in and actually show up and say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to actually feel that I feel anxious and nervous about it, and know that that's a good thing because there's something powerful waiting for me on the other side.
Yeah. And this idea of death and rebirth is truly powerful in its own right, because I think we experience it a lot when we're younger. We go through stages where we get to we actually graduate certain things, where it's elementary school. We got to start growing up and not being, so catered by our parents. And then next steps. And then you go to college, you graduate that, and you're suddenly in the real world. And we stop. And I think at every stage you have a death and rebirth in a sense. You leave something else behind, you move on and evolve into someone else. But it kind of stops then. We go into the real world and we're just told to go make the living and, progress on our own ways and follow society and these structures of everything. But we then become stale in some ways. We don't have many deaths and rebirths or graduation markers or celebrations, really. A few here and there, but mostly on societal terms. You of course, celebrate when you're married and things like that. But are we truly embracing now what a lot of different cultures, which was the death of a certain person and now the union of something new? And that's more of a spiritual level than just a celebration with, booze and champagne, everything. It's a little different.
Exactly. Very different energies.
Very different energies. And so I think you're finding so many people are lost. And when you're lost, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're confused about things. You don't know, you don't have intuition. I think by going through an experience such as the one you went through, getting back in touch with nature, actually experiencing somewhat of a death and rebirth, you then get, like you said, in touch with your authentic self, and you evolve, you alchemize to a higher level, to a higher consciousness state, and you find yourself, and you lose that part of you that was depressed, lost, anxious, all of that. So I think it's incredibly important now more than ever that we do find ourselves, and we do go through with events like these, with experiences like these, and especially just the idea of getting back in touch with Mother Nature. I mean, that's such a deep and kind of cathartic, as you said, it's primal. It's something we as humans have done for so long until just recently. Just recently, we kind of adopted this. Really? No more fires. Let's sit around a digital TV and just watch that and hold screens all day and not connect and go in this, two-dimensional world where we're always in this three-dimensional, much different world. So I that's why I really wanted to have you on, because I do believe in the power of what you're talking about here. As much as I believe in the power of medicine and, a lot of what we do at the clinic with, transformational items and therapies and procedures, they really all just catalyze or try and incorporate nature into something you could provide a patient who may not be able to yet go on that journey. But as soon as they get to that self-healing and self-management state, I would say, go do that. Go into nature now. Go find yourself, right? There's no one else is going to do that for you. No doctor, no clinic is going to do that for you. Yeah. And that's empowering. And so that's why I really do find this idea of these rituals going in as you did. And again, you don't have to do it like yourself where it is scary by yourself. You could have a guide like, you take them through this. One of the events I was really curious to learn more about is your service to union and that event you have going on. So tell us about that and how that's incorporating this experience into it.
So in service to union was a beautiful event. It wasn't my event. It was an event that my partner and I spoke at.
Okay.
And the theme of the event was literally all about coming into union, uniting the feminine energies and the masculine energies within us all, no matter what body you're in. we need to be, in order to be fully embodied, it's a unification of both of those energies coming together, being in touch with your feminine essence if you're in a man's body, and being in touch with your masculine essence, which is your primary energy. And obviously the opposite for a woman, being in touch with your masculine energy and being in touch with your softness, your feminine. What's the feminine energy, right? Feeling, intuition, clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, nurturing, right? Those are all the feminine energies. And so we talked about coming into union with self and as well as in partnership. So, right, the reason why we come into partnership, one, is to create life, to continue life, bring life to earth. But also when we come into union with another, right, we can have so many deep wounds in partnership. I'm the perfect example of that. When I came into union with my partner, my partner is such an extraordinarily powerful woman and insanely powerful mirror that she brought up so much pain that I experienced as a child of hatred and disdain towards love, that she pushed me into the deepest, darkest corners of my soul to help me evolve. And I'm so grateful for it. It's been the most intense journey you could ever imagine for me in the last 2.5 years. I've probably died close to 200 times in my ego. And I've been reborn in the flames over and over and over again. And so the main theme of In Service to Union was really just knowing that, as I touched on before, right, coming into in union with self must happen first before we come into union with another, right? So if we're a woman, we'll continue to attract that same man that doesn't value us, that doesn't honor us, that doesn't show up for us, right? That is talking to other women while we're together. You'll continue to attract that same man until you come into union in love for yourself. So it's about finding radical self-love within and not going outside of yourself for it. And then we talked about internal union, which is what I just touched on, and then external for love with another person. And so we have so many powerful couples all around the globe finding each other in the last 2.5 years, divinely orchestrated, because we are uniting the feminine and the masculine that was broken up thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, eons ago, by the dark forces. They construed and broke up these masculine and feminine energies to confuse us with who we are. So it's right now is like a complete planetary and universal reclamation of our true infinite self, of our true multidimensionality. And so, yeah, that's what In Service to Union was all about. It was a very powerful, very, very beautiful event. It was one of the most beautiful events I've ever been a part of, without question.
Yeah, I think that idea of union, then again, going back to the polarity of life, the yin and yang and everything, and finding that balance, that's incredibly healthy. And a lot of times we lose that, and that's what is oftentimes a initiation point of disease. So finding that the ability to balance between the energies that are the feminine and the masculine is incredibly important for yourself. You know, are you going to be guiding people into the wild for 7 days of breath work and fasting starting now? I mean, it's winter up by you, so I don't think it's the best time to be going out there, but what are your plans to share and get other people involved in what you experienced during your time doing the breath work and spending time in nature and going through this ritual?
Yeah, definitely not going to be doing it in the winter months up here in the Pacific Northwest, as that would be pretty dangerous probably. But I'm going to be holding one next year. I believe it's going to be in June, and I'm going to be announcing it in either December or January. So yeah, I'm going to be taking a group of 8 to 10 men out into the wilderness for, I believe, 4 days. And then there's going to be 2 more days. So a total of 6 days. So 4 days fasting, and then 2 days of integrating and coming together with the men and sharing, and before just like returning straight back into civilization. And so I just want to touch on something you said that I really wanted to actually touch on, Caspar. So I'm really grateful you talked about it. We've been doing rites of passage journeys or vision quests for thousands and thousands of years. This isn't something that's new. This is so ancient. the Hopi elders, the Mayans, the Inca. When a boy was maybe 15 years old, maybe 16, maybe 18. Every civilization, there was a different age. Mm-hmm. But sometime around that age, 15, 16, 18, for a boy to become a man, he did a vision quest. He did a rites of passage journey. That was the marking of him no longer being a little mama's boy into becoming a man. And the energy of how the parents would treat him would actually be significantly different after he would come home from this vision quest and this rites of passage journey, and receiving all the beautiful signs from the ancestors and the beautiful things that the ancestors and his guides would leave him, such as animal bones and feathers and all kinds of magical things and death that he would experience in this journey. That might be 5 days, might be 7, it could be 10. Obviously it looked different for every civilization, but some of these vision quests in Tibet or, with the Incas, they might hike 25 to 50 miles or even longer in this period. So, right, it was all about them sitting with the discomfort. It was all about them sitting with the hunger and really being okay with it. And actually, once again, being okay with being comfortable. So yeah, this is something that's so ancient and something that's lost. And I'm starting to hear of more and more men doing these journeys over the last couple of years. And I'm just so excited to share this beautiful medicine without actually taking medicine. I was like, there's so much medicine in this of literally just us. It's literally just you, your breath, sitting with your own mind and your thoughts, and the earth and nature, and that's it. And there's so much incredible, profound transformation in that. So next year, I'm going to be taking a group of men for the first time. I believe it's going to be June, but I can't wait to hold space for the 8 to 10 men to literally see them just transform in a way that they can't even begin to comprehend before stepping into that. And what a gift to be able to hold space for men just really becoming men and breaking free from the chains and the programming. And I can say for myself that if you're a man listening to this, I never had been more embodied in my masculine energy in the last 5-6 weeks of my life, times like 5 in my entire existence. I mean, it changed my partnership. It's changed my creativity and my motivation to get my work out to the world. It's had like a dramatic impact on my life in a way that I'm still integrating, because it was only just a very short time ago. So yeah, just allow yourself to lean into that resistance if you're feeling the call. And wow, if you're feeling lost and you're wanting to find your gifts and you're wanting to find your true authentic self, you're probably listening to this for a reason.
Oh yeah, no, you've come to the right place. And I do agree with you that these rites of passage we've had for so long, they were there and they were so important. And the fact that we've lost it, it's a little sad, but you're right. We're reclaiming it. I'm seeing more and more of these, masculine kind of groups that are supporting each other, guiding each other, that allowing themselves to reconnect with who they truly are. Because we have been kind of told over and over, and I think in some ways become very confused about who we are, about our authentic selves, about that intuition again of what is right for us, what is best for us. Yeah. And when you lose that, it's a downward spiral towards disease, unhappiness, unfulfillment, all of that. So it's really important, the work you're doing. And it's amazing that you'll be able to offer more and more of these, types of events moving forward. Andrew, where could people learn more about you, connect with you? I know you're active on Instagram, but where else could they go?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Breathe, Heal, Evolve. No dots, no spaces, just at Breathe, Heal, Evolve. And then you can find me at andrewgenevesehealing.com. Subscribe to my site. You'll find all my doings, all my happenings. I'm having a retreat in Sedona in January on 1/11, which is going to be really epic. It's going to be medicine, breathwork, ventures into some of the very sacred places in Sedona. So really, really excited to venture back to Sedona, as that's literally where my partner and I's journey began in April 2020.
Oh, wow.
So
I was just there. I was just in Sedona. What's your favorite part of Sedona? Where did you guys meet? Maybe that's your favorite part.
We didn't really go into, I'd say, more some of the well-known places. We went to Cathedral Rock, which was awesome, but we kind of just would park our car in random places and we really would just go out there.
It's the way to do it, right? Don't even look for trails. Just find a nice little place to park, drop a pin down if you can get it or something, or know where you are, and go from there. Yeah. It's an amazing
You'd be like,
place.
wow, there's some cool looking rock formations in there. Let's walk way over there. And so that's what we would do. And then we would lay down our blanket and we lay down on the rocks for a while. And we did hop-a together and connected to the land. And it was just a beautiful experience. So it's been a couple of years and just so excited to take a really intimate group. We're only taking 8 to 10 people on this retreat. It's a really small one. So just cannot wait. But we have a lot of really exciting events happening over these next 8 months that we're about to be announcing November, December, January. So
super exciting time for you, I'm sure. And this is amazing that you're giving back. And for everyone listening, you really got to stop sometimes and listen to yourself. And are you fulfilled? What are you missing? And I think by going on these types of retreats, you get a better answer. I know every time I've kind of hit some points that are challenging and I kind of don't know what to do, it's going back into nature and doing those fundamental things of breathing, being introspective, really asking yourself questions, say, please guide me, over and over. You'll get the guidance if you just listen long enough. Exactly. I think people in the beginning say, what should I do? And then they don't know and they stop and they just return back. But part of that is the challenge of being there and being patient and trust and surrender, all these words that you brought up. And that's, to be able to facilitate that for people is amazing. So thank you for your work, Andrew.
Yeah, appreciate you, Caspar. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. So if you learned anything today, it's that the human body is truly its own best doctor, and it has remarkable healing capabilities. Sometimes we do need teachers like Andrew and Mother Nature to help us uncover the intelligence that lies dormant within all of us. Until next time, continue writing your own healing story.